What's been running through my mind lately, what I think some of you guys need to hear. You know, whoever shows up and is in front of me, which attendance has been phenomenal these last couple of promotions, you know, I look to see if there's a message that I know people in the room need to hear. And, I mean, let's face it, how often do I get to be here with everybody at once talking? Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the sort of lifestyle that we're trying to promote here, which is one of no excuses. I had a student, well, I'll say former student, whether he decides to do what's necessary to become a student again is entirely up to him. But this former student I had in my office maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Now what happened to this former student is he stopped paying and kept training, and eventually it caught up with him, and he was confronted by the billing company, and he said, oh, I didn't know I had to pay. I thought I'd, just pay at the end, and excuse after excuse after excuse. It came to my attention eventually, and just for the record, if one of your situations comes to my attention, it's passed through a lot of filters, okay, before it gets to me. So it finally got to me, so I let him know, look, the way it works in America is if you do not pay for services, you are not entitled to services. And I really should not have to explain anything beyond that. It's something that your parents should have taken care of about 20, 30 years ago. So he stopped training. The bill didn't go away, and eventually he wound up in collections. Well, he was in my office, and please nobody afterwards ask me who it was. It's irrelevant. Staff knows who it is, right? So, the reason he came to my office is he says, I want to join. I'm working now. I got my stuff together, but I have this problem. And I said, well, what's the problem? I still have this bill coming in the mail from the last time I trained. And, whereas I am working, I really don't have the ability to pay for that old bill that I owe you and start over again. So I said, well, I don't understand why, what you expect me to do. He said, well, I want you, to just eliminate that bill and let me start fresh. So I said, no, I can't do that. And his first reaction is a very insightful, and for me at least, it was insightful, and for you guys, in turn, it could be somewhat educational. His first response was, but I'm really good. I said, no, you're not. I said, you suck. So he said, no, I don't. I said, yes, you do. He said, but that's not true. Every single time, I would spar with somebody else, only the higher belts would tap me out. I said, oh, I thought we were talking about life. Oh, you're talking about the game that we play on the mat. Oh, that's what you're talking about. I thought you were talking about the things that really matter. You're still talking about that. Well, let's have our conversation first. And after our conversation, if you want to talk about the game that we play in the back, then by all means we can get to that. I said, so you want me to eliminate a bill that you ran up, that you committed to, that was fulfilled on our end. You want me to remove that and go into another agreement with you. I said, how is it that you think that works? He goes, well, that's the help that I need. I said, no, you don't. Yes, I do. So second argument, or the disagreement in about a 2-minute span. I said, well, that's not how successful people become successful. He said, no, but that's the type of help that I need. I said, well, who is it that's making your decisions for you? Who is it that you're listening to that is where you're trying to be? Because I'm telling you what's going to help you best. I'm telling you what's going to help you make your life as congruent to being a man as possible. And it's sticking to your word. What you want is you want me to tell you it's okay that you messed up. It's okay that you went back on your word. And that I'm willing to give you another opportunity When you give somebody an opportunity, it's basically like a credit system. right? Just like your credit card, like for a supermarket or, department store, whatever, Visa, American Express. If you have bad credit, they don't give you credit. You're not given a credit card, which we could say is opportunities in the form of favors. I have some guys here, Anthony. Coach Anthony needed to borrow money. That's Chim, I need to borrow money. My first reaction or my response is what? How much do you need? That's based on his credit rating. If you're walking around and conducting yourself supposedly as a martial artist and you're not paying attention to your reputation, or going with my analogy, your credit rating, what do you think you are actually going to get in this world? Who is the one here that thinks they're going to get from where they are to where they want to be by themselves? Everything that we do affects our reputation. So getting back to this gentleman that was in my office, I said, I know what you need, and you need to be cut from putting yourself in debt anymore, both figuratively and literally. I've done favors for this guy. I got this guy a job, adding to the story, way back when. Got him a job. And he worked for 2 days and he quit. And the person who I put my word out to for this guy called me and said, Chim, this guy, he just called in today, he said he quit. I said, what do you mean? What'd you do? He said, I didn't do anything. I was teaching him to work, and he quit. So I called the guy, asked him, he said, I can't work. I said, but you told me you haven't worked in about a year. I just got you a job. I got you a job. Aside from the guys that work here, I've never gotten anybody a job. Probably never will again, unfortunately, because of this experience. He said, well, I like the job. I think I was going to be good at the job. It was paying decent money. But my wife told me I can't work. What do you mean? What do you mean wife told you you can't work? Well, she works. And somebody's got to pick up the kids, and somebody's got to clean the house. And somebody's got to make sure dinner's ready. And so I must have passed out, but I woke up like I'm looking for the phone, I pick up the phone, and I'm like, well, you didn't tell me this before I got you the job. And he told me, well, I thought that she'd be able to understand. So I said, so you got a job behind her back? Is that what you're telling me? So, bringing it to the point, because I don't want to keep insulting the guy, as comedic as it may be. He's actually a nice guy. But I told him, I said, look, it sounds to me like you have so many other issues that need to be worked out before you start worrying about the game that we play in the back. You're best off getting yourself in order before you come in. Well, this is now, the face-to-face meeting. Well, then he started doing something else. Staff members, do you remember what he started doing at that point?
Started getting a little loud.
No, he didn't get loud. What did he start doing in the office after I told him no?
Oh, he started crying.
He started crying. Now, this is what crying is, whether you guys know it or not. And this is like psychology, like basic human psychology. Crying can be used, not all the time, but crying can be used as begging. Okay? And when you ask for something and somebody says no, and you cry, what it does is it makes you vulnerable. And it makes the person who just rejected you or say no sort of feel sorry for you. So what it is really a sort of subversive attack on your emotions, and they try to skirt by your defense systems to try and grab your heartstrings, right? So they can get... We can all see the way that I'm getting, what I'm trying to get at. Now, if you guys think that you are pushing yourselves as hard as you could be pushed, revisit that, okay? Sit down and revisit that. Am I doing everything I can do? to be where I want to be. Chances are, I'm willing to bet money that you're not. Chances are there's some point where you tell yourself, oh, that's enough. I'm doing enough here. When there are people who are doing more than you for less. How many people, even in this room, came from other countries? They come here and they bust their asses to get to where they want to be. It happens every day. But for some reason, there seems to be some sort of excuse, usually, unfortunately, amongst the people that were born here, that I'm doing enough. So if I'm still not at where I want to be, if I still don't have what I want, somebody else has to give it to me. Because I'm doing enough. Well, I'm not going to make this a political talk, as much as I would love to. But I will leave it to where it is directly affecting our relationship here at the Jungle Gym. There are going to be things that happen during this little game that we play that are going to be microcosms of things out there in life. And if you are not applying the same principles that we apply here out there, then you are only taking a fraction of the experience that you've earned. You are only taking a piece of the lessons that you sat through. And there's no way that you're going to get to where you want to be flying your flag is sort of half-mast, going and doing everything with a fraction of the effort necessary to get there. Going and giving excuses about, well, I want this, but I only want to do this. And from here to here, you're expecting either somebody else to give it to you, or you're expecting this just to be enough. There are people that are here that have combat experience in war. This last holiday, I got to talk to my father a bit about his days in Vietnam. Not as much as I would have liked, but, there's just a different mentality when it's live or die. When it's move or die. When it's do this or die. There is no gray area. And what too many of us suffer from is the comfort of that gray area. So what we need to do is we need to find a way, whether it's getting information like this, being around people that are doing the things you want to do, but we need to find a way to eliminate the gray area in our lives. Either do it or don't do it. Don't make an excuse. Oh, I hate my job. Where's Steve? Where is he? You tell me all the time you hate your job. What do I tell you? Quit. And that's everybody. If anybody here has ever told me they hate their job, I said to you before?
No, I'm talking about slavery.
All right, there you go. So, that's another talk. Yeah. But, I tell people all the time, you don't like your job, quit. Well, I can't quit. Why can't you quit? You hate it, quit. Oh, I got bills to pay, I got a car payment, I got a mortgage. Well, if you didn't have that job, would you be able to pay for all those things? No. Sounds to me that you should love your job then. Look at all the shit it's giving you. But people need to sort of organize their perspective. Stop complaining about your job if you don't like it. Quit, get another job. If you can't quit, then appreciate your job for what it is. Because it's keeping you afloat, and you're admitting that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do so. Everything is a matter of perspective. A no excuses mentality, a no excuses lifestyle is one that doesn't have a gray area. It's either you do it or you don't do it. If I tried to do it and it didn't work, it's my fault. I need to find a way to make it happen. Adam, where are you? Now you lost yesterday, right? And I asked you, why'd you lose? What was your first answer?
Sick.
I was sick. It's not why he lost. He lost by points, and the points were scored by his opponent, and they were scored by a deep half sweep. And then I asked you, after I got that out of him, I said, do you know how to pass the deep half card? And what did you say? No, that's why you lost. You lost because you didn't know how to pass the position. You didn't lose because you were sick. You didn't lose because the guy was heavy. You didn't lose because the lights were too low. You didn't lose because your outfit was too tight. You didn't lose for any of that. That is the difference between a common reaction to an obstacle and a no excuses reaction to an obstacle. Does everybody understand? Yes. All right. Good talk. Very nice.